Peggle is a 2007 PopCap game, which makes you think. Things like, is it Peggling time? Or joy? A lot of joy. An ode to that, even. When you start the game, you're introduced to a majestic white unicorn named Bjorn, who is a rector of the Peggle Institute or something. I don't know, I never played the game. He proceeds to give you your first lesson, introducing you to the world of Peggle. Essentially, you can throw a limited amount of balls, and you need to hit all orange pegs to win. You need to strategize for each individual ball to be as efficient as possible, or you will run out. Hitting a peg once activates it, and hitting it twice doesn't do anything besides bounce your ball out. That's because
you cannot learn a thing you think you know.
Observably, the pegs disappear when your ball reaches the bucket or the bottom, or when the ball gets stuck. So that's it. Yeah, what a shit boring game, right? Huh, it feels like it would never surprise you with anything. Yeah, Ludwig van Beethoven himself worked on this game! Also, if I was an anti-woke grifter, I could say that this game uses DEI because one of the composers is deaf. But thankfully I'm normal, so I'll say this. Beethoven was a fucking good choice, and more sociologically I'll say that this gives people who play this game a very good outlet into classical music. And that's appreciable on its own. Hardware acceleration cannot be enabled as computer. Your video card does not meet the minimum requirements for this game. Holy shit, this game is next gen! After this Peggling, Bjorn introduces you to the concept of bricks. The bricks give you an interesting tactical edge if used correctly. Sliding on them is hard but rewarding, and doing long bounces off them is more straightforward than on pegs, though that depends on your definition of straightforward. Next, the green pegs are introduced. Green pegs give you a power depending on your chosen Peggle master. Bjorn's power is essentially a noob crutch, but it's a pretty good one. The point of Bjorn's super guide, I think, is to subconsciously teach the player to plan their shots more rigorously. Gotta appreciate how PopCap does tutorials. And even though it is a crutch, it does make it simpler to plan out shots for people at any point of their game. With skill, Bjorn's ability gets less useful, but never gets old. But even then, he did the job well, as an introductory ability. Good job, Bjorn. Also, yeah, you can drag the pop-ups that appear in this game, and the pipe will extend with them. That's because the people who made this are humans, and humans like fun and dragging things around. The purple pegs play a major part in this game. You get a free ball if you get a lot of points per turn. And purple pegs help your gay ass gain them. Get more balls, get more balls, get more balls, more balls for every single being ever. Because it's a multiplier, it's practical to hit the purple peg in your first 5-4 turns, when there is the biggest amount of potential for getting points. You can get a maximum of 3 balls from points per turn, which is a high bar to beat. Also, you can speed up the game by holding right click, which is a very good convenience feature that is like just added by people who actually play the game. You can also fine-tune your shot pixel by pixel with the arrow keys, which is also just great. It's a simple game, but it rewards you for being good as well. Next we have Jimmy.
But not our Jimmy! Couldn't be precious Jimmy!
Who promises multi-bollular action, which is actually a reference to Jimmy's ability. He also describes it as radically amazing, astonishing, phenomenal, extraordinary.
He'll never change.
Jimmy is right. His power is extraordinarily fucking insane. Jimmy's ability throws a ball out of the green peg, essentially doubling your shot if you have fortunate placement. The green peg placements are random and a lot of games unfortunately depend on them, but Jimmy is probably the most dependent on green peg placements. Still, he is one of the best masters in the game, if not the best one. His power also gives you an unreasonable opportunity to catch 3 balls on the same turn. Added to the fact that you can get 3 balls from points, Jimmy is the only one who also get 6 balls per turn. Also, Jimmy is the only master who appears in the corner when you score a lot of points. We would be nowhere without Jimmy.
He orchestrated it. Jimmy!
Jimmy's ability is better than Bjorn's by a large intrinsic merit. That is, only if inordinate peggling may be considered a virtue. Jimmy's backgrounds deserve special appreciation. I really like them. I really like the skating little mouse and the other mice rating them, and one of them having a 9 instead of a 10. It's so fucking good. Unfortunately, all of this will be wiped out soon by the global warming. Yay! Thank you, Big Oil. Anyway, next up we have Rainfield. Katie, we have Cat-Tooth. He prompts you to gaze into the pyramid with him. But that'll probably just poke my eye out. Except not really, because his pyramid is completely pointless! Cat-Tooth's ability is usually ranked as very mid, and I agree with this ranking. While it does extend the bucket, it doesn't really help you get the balls in it. Mostly because it exclusively extends the edges, and the edges are pointing out from the bucket. Not only that, somehow they might Cat-Tooth even uglier than Jimmy. At this point, I could have just added my Pony Sona as a Peggle Master. My main ability would be being not as ugly. Sorry guys, I think I forgot to take my pills. Hold on. My biggest gripe with the pyramid is that it feels worse to plan around than with the usual bucket. But there are people in here who actually think that Cat-Tooth is one of the best masters because they use the pyramid to its full potential. Need to be used to Cat-Tooth to use him effectively. Or maybe they like him because of his jingle. I once thought nothing could beat playing with a ball of yarn, but Peggle tops it. I'm keeping the yarn though. Yarn still hits the spot every so often. True. Gotta add that this is probably one of my favorite levels in Peggle. I really like the spinny little infinite things and the ramps. The new master, Splork Spokan. Yeah, sorry, this is getting old. Prompts you to set ocular eyes to quote-unquote see, so that he shall launch his next lesson. Ocular eyes is a bit of tautology, but nobody cares. From Splork, we hear that powers are magical, which is very useful information. Back when I said that Jimmy's power is the most dependent on green pegs, I forgot about Splork. With Jimmy, you can direct the ball depending on where it hits the green peg. With Splork, however... hold on, sorry. With Splork, however, his green peg just takes out an area around it. It depends on where the green peg is and how much pegs are around it, and that's it. You can't do anything, just nothing at all with that information. Splork's own levels demonstrate how conditional this power is. And that's for levels that account Splork's power. And yes, speaking about levels, we really must speak about them. I like how this bacteria-shaped brick wall explores what it is to roll and the rolling physics in Peggle. This level has weirdly placed bricks that are hard to roll on and a reference to what Splork dreams about. Next up is Cloud, who prompts you to not be shy and dive in. Continuing the thematic about outer space organisms from Splork, Cloud is also French. Not only that, this particularly reliable wiki that I found also says that his main occupation is terrorism. Cloud's power is flippers. Later in the game he tells you to wash them after the toilet, which is actually very good advice for people of all ages. So yeah, if you don't wash your flippers after the toilet, you probably didn't play Peggle. Cloud's power is refreshingly balanced and fun. In fact, the first level meant to display this power makes it feel almost too powerful, but that's because this level was meant to introduce you to this power. What I like about flippers is that they give you a lot of control. If the player is good, they get a lot of enjoyment from beating the level with the flippers, which is some in characters like Splork lack a lot. Lack of control is a problem that I see in some of the next masters as well. What if I told you that there is a level that makes Cloud look incredibly fucking pathetic, and that it's in Cloud's own quest line? We live in a society. But yeah, that probably was one of the worst levels accounting for Cloud's ability. Most other levels that aren't even Clouds fit Cloud more than this level. I'm a huge fan of brickless levels and this is one of them. The lower fish are pretty cool. Next up we have Renfield, who's probably one of my favorite designs along with Bjorn and Varun. His main abilities being one of the most versatile. Okay, being honest, he is the best master in the game. Imagine if Jimmy's multi-ball was much more controllable at the price of it not getting more than one free ball. They had to bound this pumpkin's power by removing him from Blast and Peggle 2. The pumpkin's spooky balls were too scary for them. The web level is very pleasant to do as Renfield. This level's background is fucking scary, which is actually a common issue in this game. This gets fixed in Peggle Knights, which we'll talk about too. Half circles accommodating Renfield's power? Hell yeah! Next up we have Tula. Let's grow in. Wait, she doesn't say that. Tula's ability isn't the best, but it's a bit underappreciated, though I can see why. The game tells you to use it in a ineffective way. Well, I mean, you can pair it with a purple peg and then make it a free ball maybe, but that's not very efficient. Tula's power is essentially like Splork's Space Blast but with infinite range that only hits orange pegs. This means using the green peg, you can clear out orange pegs that are stuck in very problematic spots.
Great is the weapon that cuts on its own.
I think it's really important to be environmentally aware. That's why I only drive a car made of imaginary magical bricks. She's so fucking real for that though. Tulpamancy a car. Wait, Tulpamancy? Oh my god. I'm kidding of course, but she does do astral projection in Peggle Knights, which is related. I love my bastardized Buddhist practices. Also disclaimer, don't try any of those. Tula went too hard into astral projection, visited Russia and got very suicidal. No Tula, don't wilt, you have so much to live for! The river level gimmick is very fun, I appreciate them for doing it. If you're wondering, my rating of Peggle or Peggle Masters is not biased by nostalgia. I started playing Peggle a month ago. I wasn't even aware of Peggle's existence for most of my life. I learned about Peggle from my lesbian friend, which is to say, not a very helpful descriptor because all my friends are lesbian. Varun specifically is the favorite character of my friend who is lesbian who recommended my Peggle. And I gotta say, Varun sucks! I'm kidding of course, Varun and his ability is pretty cool. When you hit a green peg, a forest roulette appears, in which you can get Magic Hat, triple score for 3 rounds, Extra Ball, or ability of a different unlocked master. It's an incredibly interesting and unique feature. It can add a lot of flavor and is enjoyable on its own, because randomness actually triggers your dopamine sensors. The unique Magic Hat ability gives you an incredibly large peg activating hitbox up from your ball. Instead of controlling how you play, you should adapt to the things that will roll for you. It's a genius mechanic, but there is also a downside. It's one of the least consistent master abilities, but I really like the concept. Adapting to things is fun. That's why random mutators in games like State of Decay 2 exist. It would have been very cool if this was a constant feature in a Peggle-like game, along with choosing masters. About backgrounds. Sometimes it feels like you accidentally got a level at the local .exe creepypasta store. I like this level because it reminds me of Balatro! Anyway, because the previous microphone started acting up, I had to buy a new one. Say hello to my new microphone. Okay, good. Next up we have Lord Cinderbottom. And even though he's named Cinderbottom, he speaks like a top. Anyway, Cinderbottom offers us a very well-designed power. Just look at it. It's a fireball that you can bounce off the bucket. It's genius. It offers a lot of control and tests your skill very well. One of the people in my Torhen 444 comments mentioned that they're a Cinderbottom fan and they're excited for this video. Back when the devs were making Splork's levels, they were trying not to make the levels too dependent on Splork's ability. It looks like a different story with Cinderbottom, but it actually isn't. These levels may look unusual and oriented to use with the fireball, but they're actually perfectly doable with other masters. A lot of Cinderbottom's levels are genuinely very fun to play with. Like, look at those rings, look how they would encourage you to pop off the cap and then put the ball inside, it's so cool. And as usual, the dialogues are just incredible. Be cautious, even with the flame at your command, victory will not come easy. I have seen strong men weep in failure. Be not like them. You begin to see the fearsome strength of the fireball. Do not let its power tempt you into the error of pride. The flame serves only the virtues. Your mastery greatly pleases me, my student. Few are those who dare test themselves. Fewer still prevail. Next up we have Master Who. Who? Who? He prompts the journey to take you where you're meant to be. Or maybe next door. That really doesn't look like next door. I'm a bit, just little bit, incredibly divided about Master Who's power. Basically, it lets Master Who just change the angle of your shot. But like, I'm the one playing the game, not you. Also, have you seen that? It haven't offered me any improvement, though it usually does. It's a cool way to show that you programmed an actual AI for the masters and to integrate it outside of previews or game modes. And it's genuinely a very unique and creative mechanic. But I have a problem with the placement. Who is the last master in the game, even though Who himself mentions that the real power lies in learning from his power. He's an equivalent of Bjorn's super guide, but placed really far away from the beginning. Otherwise it's good. Who isn't my cup of tea, but that doesn't stop him from being unique and mechanically interesting. His levels are mechanically interesting too. This one includes a spinny stick. Yay! This level, so aptly named This Dude Abides, has a very fun slidey ring that encapsulates something Splork dreams about.
And now the true test. Hold fast, or expire.
You get to do the last 5 levels with any master you want, then the challenge tab will get unlocked. Adventure mode and challenge modes represent 2 types of a Peggler. Casual players are meant to stop on adventure mode, while Peggling tryhards can try their best in challenges. Also, to make sure the game was suited for casual players, the original devs did a mom test to assess accessibility of this casual game. Peggle is a vulnerable example from an era when casual games were primarily made for computers and not for phones. The game design was clearly cared about and everything about it was meant to be fun and free after you paid the price. The challenge tab is where the real game begins. The levels here are interesting editions of normal levels with extra challenges attached to them. Can't believe Peggle predicted the Can I Beat X with Z scene. But that's not all there is to Peggle. There are 3 more versions of essentially the same game. We'll also take a short look at Peggle Blast for funsies. Peggle 2 is Xbox only and I would emulate it, but nah. Peggle Blast feels more relevant because it's actually accessible to modern casual gamers. And also, Bjorn in Peggle 2 looks like a corpse, which is a deciding factor. Looking at Peggle 2 concept art, I'm seething at the fact that we lost a plushy emo boy Bjorn in favor of necrotic color palette 2010 edgy cartoon Bjorn. Ignore the one in the middle, I have no comment on it. It feels like some sort of Bjorn cubism. One has a completely wrong shape, and the other one has a completely wrong color palette. I wonder how Bjorn expressionism would look like.
Here is the Twilight Sparkle as a dog version looks. Oh man, it's very shocking to look at a dog.
Anyway, Peggle Extreme is a collaboration game between Valve and PopCap. And yes, I know what you're thinking. It's real. And yes, it released during PopCap's and Valve's peak years. A Peggle Extreme is an opening example of what happens when peak meets peak. It's free. Why is Jim trying to cosplay Teletubbies? Who is chewing cookies at a randomized speech sound? Alert! Mayday! This is Bjorn, founder of the Peggle Institute, broadcasting on all frequencies. Nightmarish creatures have invaded the Institute. All able-bodied Peggle masters are to report for duty. With our skills, we'll bounce them out of here in no time.
Cleverly done.
This reminds me, it's insane to think that Half-Life Episode 2 is only 1 year younger than I am. There is some aesthetic recency about it. But also, these levels are genuinely designed in a very fun way. It's already an improvement above the usual game. Also, if you're wondering, yes, this is still real. This is not a joke. You are not dreaming this. And I am actually 18. Go be 19 this summer, you better have a present.
You did well!
And from that day forward, a bunch of animals are in one place, it's called a zoo! Unless it's a Peggle Institute. The image of Mr. Who officially with a Half-Life crowbar is probably enough to kill someone. Anyway, 1000 out of 10, probably is the best game ever created that isn't Peggle or CDDA. The game has only 10 levels and Bjorn as the only master, so it's meant to be a free demo for the real thing. If you don't want to get the full Peggling experience yet, you can go play it. The same concept was taken for a different game, however, unlike Peggle Extreme, it's not easily accessible on Steam. In fact, it's not easily accessible anywhere. In fact, it was spread through a 16-year-old issue of a PC Gamer magazine. Unfortunately, this chimerical version of Peggle was lost to time and will never be Peggled again. Unless I'm lying and being all dramatic with scary music like it's a speedrun video, here it is. It is very easy to download random.exes from the internet and launch them with administrator permission, without a VMware. Anyway, the game contains the usual Peggle shenanigans with the addition of backgrounds drawn by Blizzard employees. And Splork is also here too now. There are still 10 levels, 5 for Bjorn and 5 for Splork. The levels are fun as my unobjective game design rating can go. Slides are fun to play around, and there are a lot of them. And there are a lot of good gimmicks fitted there and there. There are also these two cutely cuddled together on an airship and Jimmy screaming half of Leroy Jenkins! I knew that he orchestrated it. Trillion out of 10. Unlike Five Nights at Freddy's, this game doesn't include Springtrap, which I know is a surprise. Redrawn Bjorn and Peggle Knights start by introducing you to the fact that you'll be going through the professor's dreams now and learning Peggling through that. This is just like how universities do in real life. One of my first lectures was my philosophy professor dreaming about being stranded in a forest with aggressively spirited Frederick Hegel. We had to evade him and collect 11 pages of a knowledge of spirit on tree trunks to finish this nightmare. The masters in the game are the same, but they go through their own story. In their dreams, Bjorn becomes a homosexual class traitor, Jimmy becomes a cool scientist, and... wait... T-blockers? Is Peggle about trans people video essay coming up too? That's right! The orange pegs are actually an allegory for your dick and you become happy as shit when you remove them. The pyro is an allegory for the Tory party because it has a lot of dicks and also is in the process of burning a transgender researcher alive. It all makes sense now. Wait. Rule Z? Jimmy is also Russian collaborator. No. That can be true because according to Russian state, Ukrainians are collective transgender, so Jimmy supports the Ukrainian transgender struggle against the Russian oppression. Anyway, Rainfield dreams of becoming autistic. I slept on Katut's part, so I don't remember what happened. Splork dreams of becoming a bowling player. Claude has a Napoleon complex, so he becomes a giant and steals the Paris Tower thing. Tula astral projects into Russia and becomes suicidal. Cinderbottom becomes a firefighter, after which he remarks that you should perceive that as strikingly ironic. Warren's proportions take a break as he steals gems from Zuma, and Mr. Who is a hog, too. And then a new character gets introduced, Marina. Marina's ability is Cinderbottom but slightly different. It just instantly makes a diagonal zap to the bucket after hitting a peg. She dreams of finally getting the fucking diploma. I do too. The backgrounds are just phenomenal breakthrough compared to Peggle Deluxe. They are massively improved to the grade of actual, literal, proverbial eye candy. There are also 3 extra level packs. Spring pack includes official PvZ themed levels. You can also now manually install levels into your Peggle folder, and someone on GitHub created a Peggle level editor, so you can just go there now and create your Better Call Saul themed Jimmy level. The levels overall are a big improvement over Deluxe. You get stuck less, the geometry is fun, and everything is alright. Peggle Knights is a brilliant successor to Peggle, which is retroactively causing gloom. Because then we'd have to compare it to Peggle Blast. First thing I had to do after entering the game was inserting my age. That's because it's illegal to do targeted advertising on minors in some countries. EA tries to milk you immediately after you enter the game. God, I love capitalism and free markets, where the best one wins. Peggle Blast is easily accessed at the Google Play Store, and thankfully I didn't have to dig up any old websites to download it. The fact that you lose lives after losing a game, lives you have to watch ads to regain, is completely immoral and goes against Peggle's gameplay very hard. Losing a game is a part of Peggle, and Blast punishing you for it is like an abusive parent punishing you for being gay, while your entire ancestry is gay. In spite of that, Blast introduced a lot of cool mechanics, like phoenix eggs and fireballs. Like, look, they don't fix Bjorn's color pattern in Blast. They actually considered fixing it 2 separate ways. The concept artist physically couldn't accept Bjorn as he was in Peggle 2. Speaking of the campaign, there is no distinction between adventure and challenge. Nada. Another ruined concept is how PopCap did their tutorials. In Peggle, you immediately jump into the game. In Blast, you get to do 10 incredibly easy levels before you get any actual challenge. Blast also has new masters, but I haven't reached any of them because game doesn't predispose me to actually play it. Of note is that apparently Warren has also been downgraded into a random question mark master instead of himself, so the only original abilities we're left with is Super Guide and Multi-Ball. Tula is also in the game, but she has a different ability. But I digress. I haven't played the game fully, so if I did, I probably would have spoken differently about it. Or not. The conclusion for Blast is that, from what I saw, it completely ignores a lot of good decisions Peggle had. Weirdly enough, original Peggle was also available on Android, but was removed. Probably to imply there is nothing better than Peggle Blast and completely lowers the standard. Also, yeah, by this point in time, PopCap has been bought by EA, and as one knows, being obtained by EA is the most direct way to get a death sentence for your gaming studio. I saw an interview with some modern PopCap employee saying that EA didn't affect any of their plans at all, and that everything is fine, and it's only office culture that changed. Nah. As I said, Peggle is a vulnerable example of what casual games were, specifically good casual games. A game that focuses on being fun, funny, and cared for without extra stuff attached to it. Being cared about is important because only that type of game has a charm similar to Peggle. Funnily enough, the closest modern example to Peggle can think of is Balatro. Unlike Peggle, Balatro is a math game, but they're both casual and both of them did collabs. Other example I can think of is Plants vs Zombies 2. Altverse, or Reflourished. Essentially, you can just mod PvZ2 to be fun and fair. There are games on Steam that try to be Peggle-like, but it feels kind of wrong. If I want Peggle, I want Peggle, or otherwise, a lot of them seem to try to recreate the gameplay and only the gameplay, but that's not Peggle. Peggle is not entirely constituted by its gameplay. What you need to have is charismatic characters and writing, and I'm saying that without any nostalgia for Peggle or its characters. At least that's my opinion. I'm done for now. This video took a lot longer to do than originally planned, but I'm glad it's done now. Also, here is a picture of Bjorn and Nord in style of My Little Pony I found. Here is also Bjorn, My Little Pony Town. And now the patrons. Person Human, Zeno the Bozo. Both have done it twice. Now it is time for me to go. Also, not to mention my pet peeve with the fact that Bjorn is a unicorn and not a Pegasus. Like, damn, what a wasted opportunity, ain't it?